1. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Tech Down Over, where everything is geeky, fun, and pretty expensive sometimes. I'm here with Geoff Blanchard. He's joining us from Down Under, and I'm the Up Over Here guy in Southern California. So, intro, here we come.
Here we go.
And here we are. Now, Geoff, you are in hot Australia right now in Melbourne. It's pretty warm there, isn't it?
Well, it's like they say in Melbourne, you can have 4 seasons in one day. It was probably about 90 yesterday, and it's about 70 today. So
interesting.
And a bit of rain. So but it will get hotter again.
That's great. Well, anyway, Geoff, CES just came around, and we also have some videos to share. You got some new toys. Last time we saw each other last week, we were talking about you getting a new toy, and you got it, I think, that same day.
Well, that's right. I raced, as you said on the show notes from the last week's show, I raced out and got my camera after the show. But we'll talk about that a little bit later on as we get near the end of the show.
Yeah, so in the world of CES, Consumer Electronics Show, for those who aren't familiar with it. Now, I've never been to that show. I used to go to Comdex. It was a total madhouse, 150,000 people, and just very, very crowded. I think CES is about the same. Lots of lines, but there was some great new tech. And one of the things that I liked the best, and I don't have a video of it, but it was the hand that was printed. It was a prosthetic hand that was printed by a 3D printer, and then they put it on, they attached motors, and it worked perfectly. He could move. It was 3D printed. It was amazing.
It's incredible what they can do, and I mean, just something like that, it's not only geeky, but just for somebody who really needs it, just incredible the technology that they've got out there these days, isn't it?
It's magic. It's becoming Star Trek.
Yeah, but there's just so much, I think, there. I'd love to have the opportunity to go there, because I'm sure I wouldn't see too much, because there'd be so much happening there. But there's just a lot of things there. I just noticed that there was a new LG phone called the Flex 2. And we've all seen the iPhone when they're saying about the bending, but they've incorporated the bend in the unit itself.
Oh, okay.
This is a second generation one. I didn't even know there was a first one out there. But
well, it's sort of funny. It's sort of funny because Apple is not really leading that much anymore. They're fast following again. So at one point, Samsung was leading and fast following. Now it seems like Apple's not innovating as much as some of the other vendors. They do, and they like to point that out. Innovation, my ass. I remember that from the from one of the keynotes they did. But the thing is, they're not innovating like they used to, because there's a lot of good competition now.
And they tend to do what Apple tend to do. They get something that's popular and refine it. They've really always done that. Like the phone was around years, for the mobile phone's been around years, so they took something and refined it. So they didn't come up with the concept of a mobile phone.
No.
But they certainly fixed that one up as well. So this LG one, though, it's doing like a lot of the other brands doing. The previous one had a 720p screen, and the new one's got the 1080p screen. But with all that, I wish they would probably leave some at the 720p, because they increase all of the quality and resolution, give you better battery life, but the battery gets shorter because the screen's taking up most of it. And really, the 720, I think, would probably be good enough for most people's usage on the phone. So.
And in some cases, it's easier to read the low-resolution screens than the high ones, because the fonts get very, very small sometimes.
That's right, because they usually just give you more real estate with that as well. And this one, instead of having, just one curve that the previous one has, this has 4 curves. And I don't know how, I was trying to figure out, looking at it, how that worked, but there's got a screen curve, a side curve, a bottom and a back curve.
Interesting.
And so what sort of sprung to my mind, I thought, how do you put a case on that?
Hey, really?
I don't think it's designed to do that. But this is a 5.5-inch phone, so it's all seem to be getting to be about the same sort of size these days.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think
And
6
then-
is about as big as we're going to see them. I don't think we're going to have a lot of 6-inch phones. Maybe, or 6.5. There's some talk. I think there is one, maybe a Sony already that's 6.5, but that's a large phone. Now, I don't mind that. I could carry that, but it gets big.
But I think like the 5.5, that's really just about a nice size for it as well. And it had on there, I've never heard this term for phones before, like the OLED TVs I've heard.
Mm-hmm.
I've never heard a phone that was an OLED.
Oh, sure.
So
All the Samsungs are OLED.
Are they OLED? So,
Oh, yeah.
see,
Your Note 4 is OLED.
Oh, well, gee, you learn something every day.
Yeah, they were the
don't
first
you?
ones. They were the first ones to implement the OLED on the original Captivate. That's what what AT&T called the Galaxy.
Okay.
And that was on the Captivate 1. Then they came out with the Captivate 2, which was better, but they've all been OLED. And now Apple is using the IPS screens, a little bit different. They're not as rich looking as the OLEDs. The OLEDs have deeper colors. So there's some small differences. I heard they're both about equally fast. But IPS maybe has a little bit better peripheral, viewing or larger viewing angle. But again, not by much.
Yeah, and as I said, but they all do sort of an excellent quality on there. And this one's got the 13 megapixel camera with the laser autofocus.
Yeah, nice.
But they all seem to do such a good job at the focusing. It's a pity they don't put some of that technology into a lot of the cameras, the proper cameras, because the phones do such a good job. And this has the Snapdragon DDR4 processor, and it's a 64-bit operating system. So
now speaking of phones, you took a video of using the Note 4. Would you like me to show that one?
Yeah, just show that first. And yeah.
Okay, so here we go. And this is the one I think you had a funny line in, but here we go.
Well, this is just a recording of my new Galaxy Note 4. The quality on the video is quite good. The only problem I find is I can't see a damn thing I'm recording. Well, I can just see a bit, but I'm assuming the quality is coming out excellent. But that's one of the big downfalls I can see with the phone camera. The quality is there, and I'm sure even the sound probably quite nice. And you can see William there in the background there. But I can't even, I can just see him, but the sun's not out and I'm having difficulty seeing the video. So that's one good reason to have a normal standalone camera. It makes it quite a bit easier to see. Anyway, I'll put some other video footage together so you can see the quality of it. I'm quite impressed with the quality. It does do an excellent job.
That was interesting. So where were you?
Well, that was down where I was going visiting my horse to give him some carrots and that. So,
Okay, so it was by the stables.
yes. And what I was going to, I'll put that together, and I did a few other shots on a walk with the dog. I was going to put it together and put it out on there, and I was looking at the quality, and I thought, gee, it's good, but it's probably larger than life. And then I realized it's got an HDR mode on it, which is doing that. So I thought I'd better go back to the drawing board and see what it does. So I've switched off the HDR and see what it does. But I was quite amazed when I started looking at the phone of all the different options you've got for the video. Like it's still got the the VGA with the 640 by 480, just a standard 4:3, and then I didn't realise that it had, I knew it would be a HD camera, but the 1280 by 720. Then it's got the full HD. So
now I thought the Note 4 also does 4K.
Well, this is what I was going to ask, because I said it's got the full HD, which is 1920 by 1080, but then it's got a WQHD,
right, which is the 3840.
which is 2560 by 1440.
Right. Is that so? It doesn't do true 4K.
4K.
No.
No, but
Okay.
and that's what I was just going to say. I have no idea what WQ stands for, but I assume it means it's better than all the rest of the things. So.
Yeah, interesting.
And I'm going to go out and do a bit more, do a proper evaluation of that, do a bit more filming with that in each different mode. And about the main difference is once you get up to that WQHD mode, you can't use the dual camera mode, you can't use the HDR mode, then all the video effects, or you can't take pictures with recording. But hey, I really don't care about that. I'm concentrating on the video. But then after your WQHD, I thought that would be the end of it. Now there's a UHD, which is a 3840
Right, that's your
by
3840.
2160.
Yep, that's what the now I don't think our phone does that. I may be wrong, but I don't think the Note 4 does it. I haven't really played with video much.
No, that is a Note 4.
It does. Okay.
Yes, that's what I've got that off the Note 4 because that's what I was quite amazed at.
Interesting. So I got to play with that.
And not only that, I thought, gee, there's a lot of areas for us to play around with doing a bit of video. And then I clicked on another button, and then I thought, gee, it's not only that. Then I've got to decide: do I want the video to be normal, limited for MMS? So I assume that's small
text
file
messaging,
size, so
yep.
you can text it. And then it's got slow motion, which a lot of them have, but this one hadn't seen this on too many. Was the fast motion.
Right.
So it's got fast motion filming, and then also a smooth motion. So I'm not too sure. Maybe that's a slow shutter speed. So
now, there was one point when you were filming that I started laughing when you said, "I can't see a damn thing on this screen," and when you're outside, you can't see it. It's invisible.
And like I said on that video, it was overcast. You could see the sun wasn't out yet.
Yeah.
And I couldn't see it, and I thought it was me. I thought, well, I hope it's doing a good job, but I think it's a damn shame because they do such a good quality, but that's probably why they're made like that. So you do need to get a video camera as well.
Because you really can't see on those. You couldn't really do a great professional shoot because if you're outdoors, you could probably buy a hood for it and just have it so it's covering, but then it's uncomfortable. You can't reach the buttons.
No, that's right, and you don't want that. But and even just the other day, I was, somebody phoned me, and I couldn't see the buttons to press either in broad because it was bright sunlight.
Okay.
And I thought there's something said for the old phones that had a button where you could say answer. We could see you didn't have to have it in the shade to see it. So, but anyway, I'll still like the advantage of having the phone anyway. But all in all, I'm still very pleased with the phone. But I'll just have to get back with a bit more video on that. So
now, in this particular video, you did something, and actually in this show, you have a video, and it's the solo shot, I think it's called.
That's the next thing. It's a solo shot. It's something
Now,
that really.
I want that.
Yes.
I want it desperately. I looked at it and I went, oh, I need this. I'm not sure why I need it yet, but I know I need it.
That's exactly what I said.
And let's look at it, and then you can tell us how much it costs, because I have no idea what the price is. I haven't looked it up yet. So here we go. This is the solo shot.
Mm-hmm.
I want it. I think everyone has to have at least one of those.
I think so too. When that caught my eye, it started off. It was only in a bundle. So when the first bundle was bundled together with a Sony camcorder, but now they've developed it so you can put your own DSLR camera with it as well. But that bundle with the Sony camera, and I think that'd probably be a wise one to get because it doesn't seem to be too expensive, and it's all made to work with it. But the bundle, it looks like it's going to cost about $649 US.
That's all?
And that's with the camera. That's the bundle with the camera.
Wow!
It just seems very cheap to me, but it says that's the bag and the tag, the Sony camera, the camera controller, and the custom tripod. So that's with the tripod as well. It doesn't
under $1,000.
Yeah, and how it works is it comes with a tag that you attach to yourself. Or the person you're wanting to follow, or the thing you want to follow.
2,000 feet or 22,500 feet? It's just amazing.
Yeah, but it does 360. So if you put it into a center of somebody going round in circles, it will capture that as well. But it's just fantastic, I think, just for that sort of price and that. You just say I saw it doing some time lapse, so it must have some sort of time lapse capabilities on it as well. So
right, and you could actually have maybe something moving on that. There's some interesting things there. That was a very cool device. I hadn't seen that one before, and now the price isn't that bad.
I didn't think so either. And have you seen just a similar one? But it's not the camera, but there's a similar sort of thing for a slider. It's called a one-man show. Have you seen that?
No, I haven't seen that one either. That sounds good too.
What that is like, how I had my camera on the slider. Well, this one has the camera on the slider, but what it does, it has a laser beam that you point to the person that the camera's pointing at, and then it goes in, the slider's in sort of like a little U shape.
Okay.
It goes round, but it follows the presenter, so you can do it by yourself, so you can have that on there, and if you can move, and it will keep track of you. So,
that's so cool.
Yeah, and so that's more like on the slider side of it, but it's a similar sort of thing to this. But I think this one would be much more fun for the likes of me and you. But I thought for $649,
that's not bad.
It's really not bad at all for something. And I thought you've still got a proper camera out of it, if nothing else.
Now what's actually rather interesting is right when you think there's nothing much I can spend on, something comes up.
And it's the same thing. I think, right, that's it. I've made a major purchase. There's nothing else for the next 6 months. Well, just after this one.
Yeah, and we call those actually required add-ons.
That's right. Yes.
Because that is cool. I mean, especially where you are, where you've got those open landscapes and stuff. You could have some fun with that. Just. I was thinking, you were talking about doing some training videos. Let's say you're doing an equestrian video. You put the tag on the horse, and just start going.
And that's the thing is, there's lots of times where I've had in the past where in all my years of riding, I get very little video of myself because I ask other people to do it, but they're never, my head's cut off, I'm out of focus, they keep forgetting to capture me. But if I could have had that, put that on, you can record yourself having a lesson and it just keeps it on you. So I think it's just a fantastic thing, but you can get extra tags and different extra things on it. But now it's come for the DSLR. I think that'll really take off.
Now, what kind of tags are those?
I don't know, but it's just looks very little. That it must be a transmitter, like an RF tag or something.
Yeah.
But
it's got a big range, and I don't know how long RF range is. That seemed really long, 2,000, 3,000 feet. That's that's half a mile almost of distance. That's great.
Yeah, and because I saw on the shot of the surfer going out, so it has to come. But the other thing is I liked with it, when it's with that bundle, it doesn't only just follow you, but it zooms in. So as you get close, if you get further away from it, zooms into you, and as closer you get, it'll zoom out.
Yeah, that's just too cool.
Because I thought, well, how's it doing that? And that's one of the things it does. It zooms in and out. But I just think I can see me getting one of them. Like that's another thing. Do I really need it? No, but do I want it? Absolutely.
It's a gotta have. It's definitely a gotta have.
Definitely. So.
Now you had one other video that you sent, and that was the William video.
Oh, the Oh yes, okay. Well, we'll get back to this. As I said, and the last thing on my list that I did have on there, as Rick said before, right after the show, Rick was showing his Panasonic camera. Of course, I couldn't be left out, so I had to race out and get my camera. So I did go out and get one. So I picked up my camera last Saturday and took it out on the Sunday, and just did a little video of me and William out and about. You didn't see much of William, but here's it's only about 2 minutes, I think it is, Rick.
Yes, it is, and here we go.
Okay.
Join myself and William as we take the Panasonic HCX 1000 through its paces.
Now, that's cool. It's just some great video there. And you shot that at 4K and then brought it down to 1080p, or I'm not sure if it was 1080 or 1280, but the details are great. I like when you zoom in on the building.
Yes.
And then I didn't realize you were that far away from it. When you start zooming out, I went, oh my gosh. And it looks like, how far were you? That looked like a pretty big lagoon or river there.
Yeah, it was quite a long distance, and that's why I did that, because I don't like zooming in and out on shots, but it was just to show how the fetch of the zoom. And this is probably the first camera I've owned that I've had for years, which it's actually nice and easy to use in manual. And I think that's due to this camera. It's got a lot of buttons that are easy to use and items I like to use. So, and it has the 6 programmable buttons and 4 on the LCD display. And like in a lot of things I've had where you've usually never use them. It's been too awkward to figure out what it is. But these ones are just set up so nicely that you can just use it. And just some of the features that I've found so far. And like I'm still going through, there's an online instruction book for the camera. That you get the instruction book in the box, but that tells you about 1/10 of what you need to know on the camera.
Right.
But it's got a button called a super gain that increases it to 27 dB straight away. So you can go from near darkness to excellent quality, but it's good in low light. And there's also a little thing with the area focus, which I've been playing with. So you just activate that point onto the LCD screen, and it will just focus in on that point, but not leave the autofocus on, but it will only keep it in at that point.
And
so
you do get a certain depth of field with it.
Well, that's what I was looking at, and people were saying one of the things, it didn't have a very good depth of field. This camera says good quality, but I thought it had quite a good depth of field.
Yeah.
And one of the things I did tweeted to you this week was it's got a backlight button,
Yes.
which has gone from all the old. They used to have them in all the cameras, and it was invaluable. But now they've made everything so auto that it does it itself. But there are some times where you want that bright light right behind, but you want to see the subject, and the auto just cannot handle it. So that's got that again. So I was really pleased to see that as well. And also, as well, was the iris ring. I think that's just makes such a difference.
That's I've missed that on the cameras we've had ever since we got the X810s and 25s. They just don't have that. They have that little teeny weeny ring, but the iris ring is just perfect, and it's nice. I had that on the XH-A1, which was a large camcorder that Canon made. It was okay. It wasn't a great quality camcorder, but it had really nice ergonomics. And this reminds me a lot of that with good quality video. So better codecs. I think they had some lousy codecs on the Canon originally. Now, by the way, I was looking at the video as we were playing it on the big screen, which is just about in front of me. It looked great. I was looking at the leaves moving. You could see it was just very, very detailed. And that's what a lot of people are starting to realize, that if you shoot 4K video, it's not just a gimmick to shoot larger resolution. When you bring it down to current standards, which would be 1080 or 720p, it retains a lot more detail, color, sharpness. You wouldn't get that on a straight 1080p usually. It looks great.
And like they said, if you do 4K, if you were, there's absolutely really nothing to play it back on. If you do 4K, if you've got a nice 4K TV, you can play it back, but you can't show anybody. Right. It's there's not much there, but I've noticed that. I was thinking, should I cut down and record in a lower quality? But I'm going to have a test of that, see what it does in AVC HD and all the formats, just to see whether, because it might even be the camera, it might just do an excellent quality even in the lower formats. Yep. So I'm just going to give that a try on that one as well. As I said, with that camera, the first shot you saw with William with the time code on it, and this is one of the other advantages of the 4K. I had pressed that wrong button and put that on. I thought that was just showing me what the date and the time was on the LCD display. But silly me didn't think that that was going to show on every damn shot. So I left it on Williams, but every other shot I've cropped, I've enlarged the picture to get rid of the time code. So even the great quality shot that came out, it was even stretched out a bit to get rid of that.
And you have so many pixels, you could barely tell.
Yeah, and that's right. And so that's what really excites me with the camera. But it's, it just really is just a great shot with that.
Yeah. Now, I was looking at the CES highlights and stuff, and another thing that's coming out, MSI has new motherboards coming out in March, which will probably have the new USB 3.1 standard, which is 10 gigabits per second. So that is equivalent to, I believe, Thunderbolt 1. And a lot of people are saying, wow, it's not Thunderbolt 2, and that's 20 megabits. Yeah, but go find devices for it. There aren't many. So USB 3.1 will be good for video editors and anybody else on Windows who use USB and who don't want to have to pay double for Thunderbolt drives or anything else. And there really aren't, after all these years, it's been about 2 now with Thunderbolt, if not longer, a lot of devices for it.
No, that's right.
There are no audio interfaces for Thunderbolt. I haven't seen any yet. There's just a lot of things that are still USB, and that's because Thunderbolt is still too expensive.
And that's right, and that's where the USB will sort of win out, because everybody will have that, because not everybody has a Thunderbolt.
Yeah.
And as I saw now you saw also with there that the technology with the storage is getting better and better. So we're going to have more storage that's going to be transferring from that to our machines. So you need to those faster buses as well.
Yeah, so a lot of interesting stuff. There's new motherboards coming out. The new ones, which are some of them are out already. They're using DDR4 memory instead of DDR3, so the motherboard's going to be a lot faster. So with DDR5 video cards and DDR4 motherboards, get ready for some really nice, fast video rendering and video editing and gaming and everything else you're doing. We're in a speed market right now, and that's kind of cool.
That LG phone at the beginning that had the DDR4
Oh, it did?
processor in it. Yeah,
Really?
So I didn't I hadn't heard to, but I thought, gee, that sounds like it would be quite good. But,
Yeah, it's a lot faster, bigger throughput again. So we're talking some pretty exciting tech coming out. Video workstations are not going to cost what they used to. They're going to start getting cheaper and faster.
Well, that's the thing is like nearly everybody now, it's like a bit like the video camera market as well. In the early days, it was only a select few who could get a camera. Now everybody can. And it's the same thing with nearly everybody could set up their own little studio,
Right.
their own little editing. Because it doesn't cost you a fortune. You can spend a fortune, as we know, quite easily. But you don't have to. So everybody can get an area and set up a nice little production area. And as I said, with the buses and the USB 3 and the Thunderbolts for video editing, you can do nearly everybody can get into that.
Now, are there any things that you saw when you were watching the CES highlights that made you want to get them? Anything in particular that you said, yeah, I want that?
Well, really, maybe I've been looking too hard and been spending too much, but maybe I'm trying to curve my thing. But not a lot. There was a few things that you saw that look great, but they're never going to come to production, never going to come to fruition. They're just too out there. But to me, there was a lot of the same. There were some great things, but hard drives and, as you said, this, but nothing that sort of set me on fire. That said, oh, really, they can do that, or something brand new, like we saw for that solo shot. Something it wasn't
Right.
a lot for me, but maybe I'm just not looking correctly.
Yeah. Now the 4K monitors are coming out now, and they're looking pretty good. I think I told you I got the Asus 28-inch 4K monitor last week. It looks good. It's nice. It's pretty clean. Text rendering is clean on it. It just looks like a great monitor. Not very hot. Just nice features. The menuing on it's a little odd on this particular Asus because the buttons are behind the screen. So you just have to kind of feel for them and try to get it. I still haven't mastered them. They're a little tricky, but it's a nice monitor, and it's for $630. It's not that much for a full 4K monitor. It is 3840 ultra high def, and I think it also does 4K if I'm not wrong. But I'm in the ultra high def mode. It's pretty amazing, and I tried some 4K video on it. It looked clean. It was very fast. It ran quickly.
And I'm just amazed that people like Apple, they've still got their Thunderbolt monitor, which is still the
I think
one
it's
that you
old.
could,
I know, with the
you could
fan
fry
and
your
the
eggs on the
heat.
back of it when it gets hot.
Yeah, I guess they do that for camping. If you want to go camping, you don't need to bring a stove. You just put it on top of the monitor. It's perfect.
But it's just quite strange when they've got these lovely iMacs that are really thin and very cool.
Yeah,
why they don't
it makes
make
no
the
sense.
monitor the same?
I don't know why they haven't yet. It's been now 2 years.
Yeah, maybe they're waiting for just something really, really fantastic that will
And then
blow us
they'll
away.
come out with something everybody else has and say, look how new and great ours is.
Yeah, but as I said, the new iMac's got the 5K monitor, but
And it looks nice. Have you seen it in person?
I have. It looks very
It's nice.
And there's how they can do that because it's going straight from the CPU straight to the monitor. There's no connections,
Right.
no lead, so they can do that. Whereas you just couldn't do it if it was connected to the machine.
Yeah, no, that's true. So lots of tech out there. Some of it really interesting. Some of it so-so. I don't know if this was a banner year for new tech. There were a lot of interesting little things. A lot more water cooling systems. Lot more fans, different fans for your hardware that are very quiet. And then, of course, 3D printing is becoming more and more popular. And I haven't gotten that much into it, but I'm really starting to get curious. And because you're basically using nanoparticles and other things to create real
things.
stuff.
I still find that it's still one of those hard concepts to believe that you're printing something that you can use, that you can make a 3D item.
Well, I don't know if you saw it, but on the show we did with Kirsten on eMedia Chat this week, we had Jason Levine on. He's the worldwide evangelist for Adobe Video Products and Audio, and he had a statue of himself that was printed. And
Yes,
it
I
looked
saw
good.
that.
And he kept saying, the eyes are really freaky. They scare me. The detail is amazing on these things. And it looked good. I mean, the quality. And he said they have bigger ones. Soon we're going to be printing I think people were printing AR-7, AR-15 rifles. And it's just amazing what they're printing on these things.
Are they still there? That takes me back to when I was 16 and how different the gun laws were here.
Yes.
I used to work in a shop and I used to sell the Explorer AR-7.
Oh, yeah.
Which was a 22 rifle, and the big thing was it unscrewed and fitted into the butt, and it could fit into a coat pocket. And I remember I sold one, and then the fellow went round the corner, robbed the jewellery store, and then came running back. So.
Can I get my money back now?
But it's amazing how laws have changed. But it's incredible. As I said, all the different things. And one of the things was coming out of CES that I heard people talking about a lot was the connectivity, like hooking up your lights to your phone and all doing
Right.
that. But one of the big things that they're all saying, yeah, that's fine, but I still have to get my phone out and touch it.
Right.
What they're wanting to do, near field communication, use that. So when I walk into a room, I've got my phone, so it says, well, you're here, I'll switch it on, and it's dark outside, so I'll switch it on. It's light, I won't bother. They're the sort of things that's really going to take that off. And that you don't have, because if you have to take your phone out and switch it on, it's a downside easy to go and click the light switch.
Well, yeah,
isn't
and
it?
look at technology. For example, in cars, a lot of the jet technology from fighter pilots is now in, for example, BMWs and Lexus. I was looking at the Lexus, I think it was GS 450, and it has heads-up display, which shows you all of your controls as you're driving, so you don't have to look around, or you don't have to look down. You keep your eyes right in front. It's all there in kind of a ghosty halo, but it's clear.
Yeah,
Now,
so
that's-
like the head, and some of them have the heads-up displays, like you said, on the thing that you just see on the windscreen, but only the driver sees. You can see the speedometer reading as you're going past. So it's just incredible. And there was also saying about the new entertainment systems in a lot of cars now, where they've got it hooked up. So said the big thing with every car, nearly every car, like probably every car you've had, the entertainment system is always different.
Right.
It takes you about 3 years to figure out how to
Exactly.
change the
And by then you get a new one.
yeah, then they just said, you can have the same brand. It'll be totally different. You can have the same, they're all different. But now they're trying to do things like if you've got an iPhone or an Android, that particular system, it will work on that one as well. You see,
Yep.
so. But it's quite incredible, all the different things that you can do. But you've got your phone there. Well, why can't it all hook up to there? You've got the Bluetooth and just have it all operating the same way.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I had one of the first Lexus cars back over 10 years ago, probably 13, 14 years ago. Actually, longer. It was probably before 2000. It was a Lexus LS 400, and it had a phone system. Now, the phone was as big as my phone on my desk. I mean, it was huge. It was like a shoe. It was a shoe phone, basically. And it had this big container for it. You had to put this huge antenna in the back. But it was one of the first phones to have voice activation. And it was great. It would go something like this. Press the button. Call Mom. Ring, ring. Welcome to Relate. That's not Mom, that's my office. All right, let me try that again. Call Leslie. Hello, is this Rick? This is your mom. Wait, I was calling Leslie. All right, let me try this again. It never, ever connected me with the right person. And you know what? That was $1,500 for that stupid phone. And by the time we were done, I never used it because it didn't work well. But it was a great idea back then. This is probably 17 years ago. And I thought it was the coolest thing since sliced bread. I mean, you're carrying a shoe. Hello, how are you? It was huge. But the voice activation was really, really poor. Now, they told me I should have done different things. Don't say the word call before everybody. Just say the names, because every time you say call, it thinks it's the same person.
Oh, okay.
So we're calling Uncle Call. No, not call. It's call this person. Call. No. So that was my fault. But it was funny. It just didn't work that well.
We had, in the early days of mobile phones, you remember when text messages just came,
Yes.
just before text messages? And remember the old Nokia phones, when somebody had called, all it used to say on your screen was called.
Yes.
Didn't it? It used to say, I had a friend called Ed, and this person kept phoning and said, "Why are you calling me?" They said, "Because you just phoned and said called." I said, "What?" It said call Ed. And it's, that's how primitive we were back then. And before, it wasn't tech, but it just kept saying call Ed.
Yep.
And he thought it was his friend. He'd better call his friend Ed.
Right. Oh, that's funny.
And with phones have come a long way, but then sometimes it can be just exactly the same. I remember I was over in the States there having dinner with people, and I must have lent on my iPhone wrong way and butt started it. And it did voice recognition and dialed Australia, and I had a 20-minute call, international call to somebody I really didn't want to speak to.
Oh, gosh.
And when I saw it, I thought, oh, my good, because they've got that feature in it, even when it's locked.
Yes.
If you hold the button down, it comes to voice activation.
Yes.
And it just picks up something, and if it doesn't get quite what you want, it'll just take the first name.
Just randomly says, I'll call this person. Yes.
So I wish you could switch that down feature off totally. But
yeah, thank God it's not calling something like 911. You drop the phone, it goes, hello, 911, can I help you?
Yeah,
It must be a terrible emergency. Go track that phone down. Yeah.
To send the SWAT team out because you...
And you're enjoying you're having your drink and enjoying your dinner, and it's, it's sort of funny. But, well, we are pretty much at the end of our time right now. Next week we'll have more tech and news, and maybe we'll even have a guest. I think we were talking about getting Donna Gilliland on, and if she can make it, she'll join us. Donna's a doll. She is adorable, and I think she said she'd be available. So I'll give her a call and see if we can get her on for next week, or maybe the week after. And she's a tech specialist. She does a lot of training, helps a lot of small businesses, knows Microsoft Word or actually Microsoft Office and other products very, very well. And she's a heck of a nice lady, too, aside from it all. So we'll try to get her on.
Seen it before on Shrek Tech and that. I thought she was great.
She's been on Shrek Tech. I think she was on eLearn Chat. So it'd be fun to have her on. So we'll try to get her on next week. And, well, Geoff, you have a great week. And I have to tell you, my 81-year-old mom today passed her driving test, passed the eye test 2020, and passed her written test with 2 wrong. Not bad.
Oh, that's great, isn't it?
She was thrilled. She was terrified she was going to fail it.
But she did very well. That's
Got
great.
there and kicked butt.
Because you've got to have your independence, and I think that's just the one thing to keep driving and keeping that. That keeps people going.
Yeah. Now, I'm actually probably giving my license up in about another 2 weeks because I haven't been driving much for 3-4 years. Got a weird eye condition that is sporadic, and I don't want to risk it because... so she got it. I'm probably going to lose at least for a while unless they come up with something to fix the eye issue. But that's okay. I'm kind of used to it.
Yeah, we've been living with it for a while.
It's been about 4 years, and I call Leslie my seeing eye wife. That's so. She's very good. She's walked me into everything. It's actually pretty good. Trash cans, I've walked into everything. It's good. But anyway, so yeah, my mom commutes literally 100 miles round trip every day.
Yeah, she's incredible. It just amazes
from
me
where we live all the way.
I could do that.
Yeah, that's a long drive. She doesn't. She doesn't complain. So kudos to Mom. Good job. She passed.
Well done.
So anyway, Geoff, well, you have a great one, and we'll see you next week. If you are watching in the chat room, we really have to monitor the chat room. We may actually have somebody in there.
I have been monitoring.
Oh, you have? Anybody in today?
Out there at first, and nobody was there.
Okay, well, for all you people who didn't show up, we're not happy with that. You need to show up next week. We know who you are. You're out there. Please follow us. There's a button on top and a button on the bottom to follow us right now on Ustream. And if not, you can watch the recordings on Vimeo and follow those too. Subscribe, give us your feedback, let us know what you think. But most of all, send money. We need to buy a lot of gear, and we just can't afford the gear with all the stuff that we have to do. So anyway, we'll have a good one.
Don't have to have money. Just send the gear.
Send the gear. Yeah, we don't need the money. We're not greedy. First hand, second hand, we'll take it. Gear is good. Have a good one. Bye, Geoff. We'll see you next time.
See you later.